Hello and welcome to Nephrology Nursing Perspectives, an official podcast of the American Nephrology Nurses Association. This podcast provides interviews and discussions between members of the American Nephrology Nurses Association and the nephrology community. The podcast focuses on nephrology nurses' issues, health policy, and nephrology nursing as a specialty nursing profession in the areas of conservative management, peritoneal dialysis, hemodialysis, continuous kidney replacement therapies, acute kidney injury, transplantation, industry, and health policy. In this episode, Ms. Lillian Pryor, the 2020-2021 president of the American Nephrology Nurses Association, talks with Ms. Virginia Henry about her initial involvement with nephrology nursing and ANNA, her experience as ANNA's first Emerging Professional Fellow, and how the experience has influenced her both personally and professionally. We are pleased to present Ms. Pryor's interview with Ms. Henry.
Hello. How are all of you? This is Lillian Pryor here again with Nephrology Nursing Perspectives podcast. And I have an exciting interview today. We are so glad to be speaking with Virginia Henry today. Virginia is actually ANNA's first Emerging Professional Fellow. And this was a role that the board of directors kind of talked about. We had information from one of the task force that worked on this and thought this might be a good way to introduce our emerging professionals and our new to nephrology nurses to what it might be like to serve on a board of directors, especially our ANNA board of directors. So we got together, of course, and we approved this fellowship position. And we are so very happy to be here. We had some interviews and Virginia accepted the position. She was chosen and accepted the position. So we're just going to have a little conversation with her today about what that role is, what it means to her, how she's feeling, how she's doing. We'll be wrapping that up the end of this year and hope to keep this moving forward for the next emerging professional to come on board to our board of directors. And so without further ado, I am going to introduce you to Virginia Henry, and she's just going to introduce herself, give us a little bit of background about her nursing and her other career, and then we'll go from there. So hello, Virginia. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you, Lillian, for having me on the podcast.
Oh, absolutely. So let's just hear a little bit about Virginia. Give us a little bit of your background, and then we'll dive right in with some questions.
All righty. So I have been a nurse for 2.5 years. After high school, I went to school for my degree in political science. Mm-hmm. And after I finished that, I was like, this is not what I want to do. So I found myself going into nursing, and I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, and I graduated with my degree and with my BSN from Carleton University here. And my first position was night shift on the PCU floor in trauma. Mm-hmm. Hated night shift. So in January of 2020, I accepted a position with DaVita Acute, learning hemodialysis and becoming a nephrology nurse. And I've loved it ever since. I'm now at to work in the acutes program there, treating both end-stage renal patients as well as transplant patients.
Oh, wow. That's great. Now, listen, political science, that's no easy little walk in the park. But I'm thinking that degree and that background has kind of helped you a little bit with working in nephrology and with nephrology nursing and with our patients.
I think that's one of the reasons I really love nephrology nursing. I think there's a lot of room to grow within even health policy. And that's one of the reasons I joined ANNA is kind of getting away from just being a bedside acute nurse, but also advancing health for our patients outside of work.
That's amazing. And I can attest just to your involvement and your input this past year. It's just been invigorating to have a point of view from someone who's coming in, I think, kind of fresh, right? And so I'm going to start with a couple of the questions, and you kind of already answered my first one, just how and why did you initially become involved with ANNA? And then how did you come about just wanting to choose to become involved in the board? So when you saw that fellowship call, what kind of drew you to that?
I got involved with ANNA because some of my coworkers are in the local chapter, like the president of the local chapter. They kind of told me what ANNA did, and they know that I like to be active with that, be on the bedside as well.
Okay.
And one of my coworkers actually was the one that pointed out the fellowship. She's like, I would love to do this, but I have 5 years in nephrology nursing. She's like, I think this would be like such a great experience for you to at least apply. So I was kind of nervous about applying for the fellowship, but her encouragement definitely was something that like pushed me to apply, especially since I'm interested in health policy. Because at the time I'd only been a nurse for 1.5 years. And I've always envisioned boards, like nursing boards with well-established members who have years of experience and knowledge. But that being said, I think it has been such an amazing experience being on the ANNA board. And I love that they're focused on mentoring and establishing new nurses, not only within the practice, but on the board as well.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. And I think I can say, just from my perspective, it's been, like I said, a wonderful experience for us as well. You have a number of different, I think, perspectives that you can kind of glean just knowledge and just different information from. And we look to you for that as well. And you have certainly delivered. Next, I just want to touch a little bit on your experience kind of on the board. Now, tell me a little bit about that. So you started, when was that? That was back in May of 2021. Just tell me a little bit about what's going on, your day-to-day, if you will. I know you're not doing ANNA every day, but just some of your experiences thus far.
The first kind of few months was just trying to sort out what the board does and this year, and then obviously for the next coming years, and then getting involved in some of the specialty practice networks. Angie's invited me to the leadership discussion, and that's been really amazing, hearing how they really want to get new nephrology nurses involved in the ANNA and getting new nurses into nephrology, because I feel like that's kind of a specialty that people come across later in their nursing careers. But I think it's so important to get new nurses with the current shortages that we have in nursing.
Absolutely. And so you mentioned Angie, that's president-elect right now, right? So she's kind of been a mentor for you and just kind of inviting you to the different meetings. And just when you're in her presence, how is that? How's that mentorship role and that mentorship relationship? How's that going?
I love it. I feel like she's definitely a game changer. And I feel like I see a lot of my personality within her. And I'm really excited for her presidency and to see what she has in store for the next year and year after that as well.
Great. Yes, I would have to agree with you. And I'm so looking forward to her leadership as well. Okay, we're going to switch direction a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about room for growth. In your experience thus far, if you had to say one thing that ANNA and our board of directors could improve upon, what do you think that might be?
I think membership and engagement with our members, especially in the most recent years. Coronavirus has been a very stressful time. I think maybe focusing on having more fun events so that our members can be connected and have that support. I feel like maybe that's something that's lacking within the current organization, and then getting new members and maintaining that membership as well.
Okay, that's great. Our vision for ANNA is just what you're saying. We want to see the membership increase, and we want more engaged members, right? So not just members that are book members. I'll put it that way. So we have many members that sign up and, they're online and they get the information. But like you said, we want to see more engagement maybe at the events or at the chapter level. In terms of the chapter level and you being on the board, have you had an opportunity to connect with your chapter and your chapter level?
The next current chapter meeting, unfortunately, is next week, and I'm going to be working late. But I feel like from the symposiums that I've got to go to, one of them obviously being virtual and the other one being a hybrid, I feel like members really enjoyed like the nurse Blake or the wine sommelier. It was just like different interactions with members. And I feel like that would be like a really cool thing for us to do as a board with engagement and getting people kind of like excited about different specialty practice networks. Because I feel like it is kind of intimidating to try and get involved and not really knowing what the expectations are for that involvement.
I think I would agree with you. I can remember when I first relocated to Georgia, and I was a member of ANNA when I lived in New Jersey, but I was one of those, kind of on the book member. I wasn't that really involved. I went to my first meeting here in Georgia, and the then president was Angie Taylor Smith, and she kind of voluntold me, you will be, running in the next election. And I'm like, wait, what? Hold up. And so that's kind of how we all kind of fall into this, right? I just think that awareness and just being able to kind of talk with somebody about it and to see somebody that's kind of experienced it a little bit before we go volunteering people, you're going to serve on our board in our local chapter is kind of helpful. All right. So what thus far has been one of your best experiences or maybe your worst experience?
I can't say that I've had a bad experience. I feel like being at the board meeting in July was just kind of eye-opening, like how important the membership is to our board. Also how an inclusive and supportive network, because I feel like maybe a lot of nurses right now aren't feeling very supported within like nursing as a whole. And just I really thought that stood out to me, like how important the members are to the board.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to say one last question. Just anything you want to tell me, it's fine. I'm taking it all in. How did this experience influence you, both personally and professionally?
I think it's definitely given me a lot more clarity of my goals for the future. Initially, I think I wanted to go back to become a nurse practitioner, nice. But now I want to go back and do leadership first and then eventually my DNP. I just feel like maybe before I become a nurse practitioner, I want a little more experience of like being on the board or doing leadership roles that can help patients before, I guess, practicing on my own.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Well, I am sure that you will be very, very successful. And of course, ANNA will be behind you, supporting you, anything you need. You know where we are. Any last words for those new to nephrology nurses that are out there that might be kind of maybe in your position, not sure, I'm not sure about this, or I'm not sure what this is about?
First, I want to thank the board for this opportunity to kind of get a looking glass experience of like what the board is and how to get involved. And then I would say to our newer members, don't be afraid to get involved. Everyone that I've met has been so encouraging and just very sweet and nice. And it's just been an amazing experience overall. And it's a good group of people that really care.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Virginia. This has been a wonderful interview. We're going to wrap this up because I know your time is precious and working with our acutes. We look forward to hearing from you more and even seeing you more. And I hope you have a wonderful day and take care, everybody. That's it for this episode, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Nephrology Nursing Perspectives is owned and produced by the American Nephrology Nurses Association. All rights reserved. No portion of this podcast may be used without written permission. Ms. Virginia Henry is a Canadian-American nephrology nurse who is currently serving as ANNA's first new Emerging Nephrology Nurse Fellowship. She is an acute hemodialysis nurse at Mayo Clinic in Phoenix, Arizona. Her passion for serving on the ANNA board stems from her previous BA in political science, with a focus on health policy at Carleton University in Ottawa in Ontario, Canada. She is passionate about nephrology nursing and the population she serves, and eventually would love to get her feet back into politics and policy to advocate for and help improve the lives of nephrology patients. Ms. Lillian Pryor is Senior Manager for Medical Education for CVS Kidney Care. A member of the American Nephrology Nurses Association since 1990, Ms. Pryor has served in roles that include President-elect, ANNA Director, ANNA Awards and Scholarships Committee Chairperson, ANNA representative to the Kidney Health Initiative Patient Preference Task Force, and an author and peer reviewer for the Nephrology Nursing Journal. Ms. Pryor served as the 2020-2021 president of the American Nephrology Nurses Association. In addition, she is an active member of ANNA's Dogwood chapter in Georgia and has served the chapter as both its president and health policy representative. For archived episodes of this and all ANNA podcasts, and to learn more about the American Nephrology Nurses Association, visit annanurse.org. You can subscribe to Nephrology Nursing Perspectives, NNJ Extra, and ANNA's 50th Anniversary podcast series on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, our hosting site Spreaker, and everywhere podcasts are found.